Thank you, Dr. Griffin. My name is Christine Schief. I'm a senior staff attorney at the North Carolina School Boards Association. Thank you for having me here tonight. Particularly, thank you for doing this the same night you honor school librarians. So it was very nice to hear from all of them.
Well, if I could interrupt you before you start, thank you for your patience and for being here tonight too. So.
Absolutely. I know Sam is sorry that he was not able to join you to present these tonight's survey results to you, but I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight to do so. I intend to walk briefly through the PowerPoint presentation. I know this has previously been shared with the board, and so I don't intend to spend a lot of time on it, but please do jump in if you have any questions. If I don't have an answer for you, I will certainly follow up with Sam and make sure that we get answers to any questions you might have. So I'm going to make sure this clicker, there we go. So I wanted to start with the source of the responses to your survey. First of all, your community and your staff spoke up, so we thank them for that. Within the community, almost 1,600 people started the survey. Just more than 1,100 completed it. There were more than 3,000 community comments that were provided in response to the open-ended questions that the board included. And you had almost 700 staff members start the survey and about 450 that completed it. I do want to note that all of the answers that were provided are incorporated into the breakdowns for each question. So just because someone didn't complete the survey, it doesn't mean that the answers they did provide were not included. That's all in there. You can see on this next slide the information about the various roles that the community members who did respond to the survey fill, whether that's residents, parents of school-aged children, students, business owners. Of course, some people fall into more than one categories. You can see here most of your responses were from parents or guardians of students within the district and also those who live within the attendance area. And then this next slide breaks down responses by grade level for either current students or parents. Obviously, you get a large response in elementary school. You have more elementary schools than you do the middle and the high school, of course, but pretty good distribution across those grade levels. And then the next slide breaks down the job assignments for the staff responses. And so most of your responses came from teachers. And then you can see your second largest group was school level staff, and then it was scattered across district school level administrators, district level support staff, and district level administrators, and then those who listed others. But you did have a good response from your teaching staff. This slide breaks down the grade level that your staff respondents are assigned to. Again, your largest number is in elementary school, and then it also reflects your central office staff. And then there was the opportunity, as you all know, for survey respondents to look at a list of characteristics that you wanted to see in your next superintendent. And the 10 characteristics are listed in the order in which they were listed on the survey. So there was a lot of overlap. As you can see, the first 4 responses between the community surveys and the staff surveys were the same, although they were in a different order, but they all had the same top 4 responses. And so this slide just shows the way that they ranked those responses. And then moving on to our last slide, this is the survey question about the type of experience that the staff and the community were hoping to see in the next superintendent. And you will see again that this does line up. Most of the respondents for both the community and the staff survey wanted to see an effective classroom teacher and has been a successful principal. Those were the top 2 choices on both. And just looking at the data that was also provided to the board and that I'm happy to look at more closely if you like, my recollection is among staff, it was more than 80% that said an effective classroom teacher and more than 70% in the community. So again, your community and your staff seem fairly well aligned in terms of the types of things that you would like to see, they would like to see. So that's the end of the PowerPoint presentation. In addition to the survey results, the board was provided with a leadership profile, and that was based on the top 5 responses from each of the surveys on characteristics and on experience. That is, as Sam said in his email to the board, that is a living document that changes, and he certainly would like to hear from board members if they have additional things that they would like to add to that leadership profile. The comments, I understand the board has been provided with the unredacted comments. Redacted comments will be made available shortly. We're working on those. You had such a high response rate that we have a lot that we need to work through and ensure that there's no confidential information that's inadvertently shared. And so we are working on that and we'll provide that. Did anybody have any questions about any of the data that was presented?
I don't know if it's a question about the data or process. You just mentioned the large number of responses. Mm-hmm. And in your experience, I guess that's what I want a little background on. For a district our size with 11,200 students and 1,800 employees, this felt like a large sample, but I have never done it, so.
I will say I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage as opposed to Sam because this is what he does all the time, but I did look at that information today. I compared the Chapel Hill response rate to some of the other districts that we've recently conducted superintendent search surveys for. And for districts, for example, we looked at one district that was about twice the size of Chapel Hill Carborough, and your response rate was about in line with where their response rate was. But then we've also recently conducted a search for a much, much larger district, and your response rate was just significantly higher than theirs in terms of they have 10 times the students, more than 10 times the students, and had about twice, I would say 2 to 3 times the number of comments. And then in terms of smaller districts, we saw a much greater increase. So districts that were about half the size of yours, you had 3 to 4 times the response rate. So your community really did speak up and step up, and your staff as well in terms of responding.
Thank you. Board members, questions or comments? So I think to Mr. Jenks, my question might be, and maybe you're going to tell me we've already done this, George, but how does this get out to the community?
I think I'm looking at early next week. I think 9:30 tonight is a bit late for us to send a write-up and graphics and present it all to an audience of our staff and our community, but we'll be prepared to do that early next week to our staff and our community audiences using email, our website, and our social media platforms.
Great. Just wanted to clarify. Thank you. Anybody else? Well, we do appreciate it. Thank you again for presenting this to us and the way it was organized. I know, and I'm sure I am speaking for my colleagues now, there were a lot of public comments to read.
There were.
And I found myself appreciating the number of people that took some time to fill that survey out and complete it, and then to even write comments in addition to ranking and rating. I felt like I got a sense of what was on people's minds about the public schools here in Chapel Hill, Carborough. So. You did have
a very high response rate, and thank you all again for having me, and also just for all that you do for students in Chapel Hill, Carborough, and for the opportunity to work with you.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.